And live. Okay. Welcome. Good evening, everybody. It's Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres. See, we got people here already. Sarah's with us working on the winter's wood and canning. Is that the right stuff? I don't think that's it. I don't have a chat here. I kind of like the chat. I don't think I have the chat. Mike Finn. It seems like this is from something else. Let me get my technical advisor. Stand by. All right, Ben's with us. All right. All right, maybe it's okay. Okay. All right, let's see. I got a good subject tonight, I think. It came up the other day. I was listening to. All right, Brian's with us. All right, Brian on. Today's September 9th, 2025. I'm Mark, your host, coming to you from Baker's Green Acres in lovely Marion, Michigan. Fall is upon us, I guess. It was we had a little bit of heat today, and then it was cool in the evening, and it's nice out now. It's clear and cool. Love this, just love it when it's like this. I guess I love all types of weather. We had rain for a little while. A few days ago, we had about 3 days of rain, and that was nice too. It was nice, really nice break. Cooled things off. Then we get a little heat and sun, and it seems like the grass comes up again, and it's kind of nice. I just like it. So let's see. Do I have any things to talk about coming up? No, nothing's coming up. This is September, so we really have nothing until next spring, and that's good because we've got a lot of work to do here. So we're not really hosting anything, and that's kind of the way we want it. Doesn't look like we're going to do Homestead Hog Harvest this year. The interest in that over the years has waned. And so this year we decided, no, let's give it a rest. We've got enough to do. There's a lot of preparation getting ready for that. And I really don't have that many pigs. I've got about 10, and we've got to get them done and get them in the store. So I guess we're not going to do it. I guess that's the way it's going to be right now. Doesn't mean we can't pick it up next year. But I don't know. We just don't think we're going to do it this year. So let's see. Today around here is Tuesday. We actually had an odd day of chicken processing. As I've told you guys, there's another processor north of us, about an hour and something, and they quit this year for their own reasons. They had a pretty good size following, pretty good sized business. They have adult boys that work there. Their kids, they're adults now, and they were doing pretty good, but they quit. So a lot of their people have come to us. And so normally we only process on Fridays, but because there's just such a opportunity there, we decided, okay, we'll do it. We'll open up another day, or Jill made the command decision. So I didn't really have much part of it today. I took in the birds last night, and then today I milked, and after milking, I'm working on a fencing project next door. So I went over and finished that up. It required a trip to town. Some of the fence posts I was talking with the guy at the yard there, and I loaded on the wrong size by 6 inches. So they were 6 inches too short. So I had to take them back and get the correct ones. And skipped lunch, Just get lunch and got right in on that. And what I wound up doing was we had fenced off from the campground east to the big ditch that's there. And when I let the cattle in there, they went right to the cabin and right to Brian's tent and just made it, they just wanted to hang out right around Brian's tent. So that wasn't going to work. So we put them back in, gave them a bale of hay, and they've been there for a week or so. And then I put in another stretch just east of the cabin. So now it's a square field. And I would say it's probably 8 or 10 acres. And finished it up just before I came in. Joe came over and told me, hey, it's getting late. And so that's I just finished it up. So tomorrow morning I'll pull the gate and let them back in on it. And it's a nice thing because there's a lot of grass there. There's really not enough for me to cut it. I could and get a few bales, but it's so much nicer if they can just be wandering around and manuring it and they when they step on it, it stimulates the growth, and so I really want to do that. We are going to up our grazing game over the next foreseeable future, a little at a time, and open up more pasture to them, and just commit to one cutting of hay and get that all put up for the winter, and then just graze the rest of the time. It's good for the field, and it's good for us to see them out there, and it keeps them healthy when they're eating green grass, and they're manuring the fields and all that. It's a good thing. So I do believe in rotational grazing. I really do. But the time involved to go out and move fences is something that I just don't have. And if a day comes when you're jammed up and, I can't move the fence today, and they have nothing to eat there and they go through it, then you're teaching them to go through it. So you really got to be on it. Other than that, you can just have hard fences in paddocks, and you just open a gate, let them in, and then if you've got several other paddocks that you can leave alone for several weeks, they grow back. So I think that's the way I'll do it, because I just don't have the time to be moving cross fences. Maybe if I took in some interns, that's a good thing that somebody can, hey, go move that fence, and that's something they can do. But I don't have any interns right now. Crossed my mind of doing it again. It was a good program when we had Covey working for us. He was a good intern. We really miss him. So anyway, tonight, I want to talk, the title of this is currency. Currency. Interesting word. The other day, I was listening to a video. I was watching it too. There's this gal that goes around the state of Michigan, and she shows off historical sites and things of that nature. And she was talking about a place that we've been to. It's called Fayette, right? And it's in the Upper Peninsula. It's a coastal town, and it was abandoned in the 40s, I believe. And what went on there was it had a natural harbor, so the ships could get in, and they would unload iron ore, and then it would be smelted there. That's where they get it real hot, and they burn out all the impurities. And then they would pour it in molds and make what they call ingots. And they were about 3 feet long and about 8 inches wide and maybe about 8 inches tall. and it was just a block of what they would call pig iron. So they had gotten it pretty hot, but not hot enough to really purify it. And they did that so that they could put it on ships and take it down to Ohio, where they would continue to smelt it, but they did it with a different method where they would get it real hot and purify it. It'd be quite pure. And so in the late 1800s, there was a big need for steel. And so this guy, it was a company that put this place together, and they had about 1,000 people that lived there, and it was an actual town. And there was some real nice houses. People lived in those, the people that were kind of in charge. And then there were I thought this was interesting, the school teacher, tradesmen, guys who were skilled tradesmen. They were in smaller houses, but nice. None of them had running water, as far as I remember, or indoor plumbing. But they were nice houses for that time. And then there was the general help that was down kind of close to the water, and none of their houses were there anymore. So they weren't built really well, so they didn't make it through the test of time. And there was a lot of immigrant type people, Finnish. Yeah, I think it was mostly Finns. I think, now that I don't quite remember exactly, but it wasn't like they were bringing people from South America. They were all coming from across the pond, And anyway, they had quite the system there. When you agreed to come and work there, they made a house available to you and your family. That was part of your pay, actually. That was your compensation, was this home to live in. So these people were wanting to come from Finland because here in the States, there was still land to buy. And in the Upper Peninsula, there's still a lot of land to buy. Good land, good fertile land. And this was kind of a stopping off point for people where they could work for a while, save some money, and, hopefully be able to buy a piece of land. Another thing that they had there was the company store, right? So I started thinking about that, the company store. So this settlement, Fayette, is miles and miles and miles away from anything else. There was not much there. So if you left there on horseback, let's say, it would take you a long time to get to the stop and shop, right? It just wasn't there. So where they had ship traffic coming in and out, they brought in supplies, and the supplies were what the people needed to survive, right? Cold winters up there. So they need all kinds of things. They need clothes, they need food, all kinds of things that they need. And the stuff would come in and it would go into the store, and you could go in and you could buy stuff, and you just wrote down what you took, and that came out of your pay, right? So if you economized and you played it smart and you weren't buying lottery tickets and whiskey, you could still save some money. But for the company, it made sense to give these people a decent place to live, so they weren't, exposed to the elements, so they would stay healthy and things like that, and give them good sustenance to live on. So it made a lot of sense from the company's point of view, and from the people that were there, their point of view. Like, if it wasn't there, they would have starved. They wouldn't be able to keep up their strength and be able to put in a good day's work. So it worked for both. And that was a nice presentation. I've been there twice. I really like it. I plan to go again. It's really a neat place if you get up there. And then another one came on, and it was about a place that's closer here, and it's in Alberta, it's called, and it's out on the coast. It's just below Frankfurt, and it's an odd little town when you go there, and you kind of wonder what went on here. And I'd never really stopped when I've been going through there, but I listened to this and I found out what was going on. So Henry Ford was coming through there, and he was amazed by the amount of timber that was there. There was a lot of timber. And what he needed for his plant was he needed wood, and he needed a lot of wood. He also needed steel, but that wasn't the location for it. But he needed wood. What did he need wood for? For building gliders for the war effort. I never knew that. And putting together buildings. And if he bought the wood, he's paying top dollar for it. So what he did is he built a town right there in Alberta. Frankfurt wasn't there, and the town below it wasn't there. It was just there. And they could get to it by ships. And there was tons of timber there. And they actually set it up so they did the sawing right there. So the sawmill is still there. According to this video, which was a couple years ago, you can't visit it because it's not set up for visitors. But they said they were going to. So maybe that would be cool if it was, because it was a really neat sawmill. And they had a lot of things there that I just find kind of fascinating, taking a raw product like a tree and turning it into lumber. And I use a lot of lumber here, so it tickles me a little bit because I know what it takes to do that. And it just so happens a friend of mine, Parker Holmes, has a sawmill just west of me, half an hour or so, and I get a lot of lumber from him that he saws for me. Really good stuff. And he's just buying logs, sawing them, and then it goes out. So let's see. Where did my mind go with this? If somebody were to say to me, oh, all right, well, what's your currency? What is your currency? Well, I don't just deal in dollars like with Parker. I made him a retort for making biochar, and we did a trade. And it was sizable. Now he's able to make biochar with the slab wood that he gets from his sawmill, and I got a whole big pile of lumber that I needed to build something. I don't remember exactly what I was building at the time. Could have been probably the new barn, probably. And there were no dollars involved. Like, we look at, wood, and it's sold by the board foot. So a 1-inch board, 12 inches wide, 1 foot long. That's a board foot. And he sets a price on that. And if I want to, I can pay for it with dollars. Like, I've written him several checks for wood, and those are dollars basically. I can do that, or I can trade him or use my currency. Like, one time I gave him a whole bunch of ground beef, and he said it was the greatest ground beef. I said, well, there's plenty more where that came from. And so we have a dollar value on our ground beef. And so we just made an exchange. My currency was the ground beef. His currency was board feet of lumber, of rough cut lumber. So I started to realize, oh, well, I have several currencies that I produce here. So yesterday, or maybe today, I was milking with Brian, and he was having a good time. We just found out that most of our cows are pregnant, and so it's like, oh, good, we finally got that done. So we're having a pretty good time, and I said, isn't this fun? And he says, it is. I said, if we had a room someplace on the farm, and you could go in there, and there was a machine in there that you could crank the handle on, and it would just be pumping out $5 bills. That would be fun, wouldn't it? Yeah, that'd be fun. Well, it's sort of like that. It's sort of like that. We're milking these cows. I mean, a lot went into it, like the fence building and the hay making and the facilities and the facilities to handle the milk and um, the jars, the cooling process. A lot goes into it, but at the end of that process, when it's done, you wind up with a jar of currency of milk. And our jars of milk were half-gallon jars. They're worth $5. $5. A gallon is 10. So the jars are half-gallon, so it's $5. And it's like every morning we go out there and turn the handle and click, 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 and this whole stack of $5 bills comes out. Boom, there it is. And it's my currency. It's the currency that I'm creating. So my currency, let's say that I say, okay, well, I'm going to produce, I'm going to take hay, and I'm going to grind it up, and I'm going to press it into blocks the size of bricks. And I'm going to make that of that. That'll be cool. That'll be so cool. And so I build the machinery to make that. I go through the process. We hire my kids to do it. And we wind up with a pallet full of these blocks made out of ground hay. What was that? Did you hear that? Must have been a cat screaming. And then I take those blocks and I take them someplace where there's a lot of people, and I say, look what I got. And people are like, what are those? Well, it's ground up hay pressed into bricks, of course. Do you want to buy some? No, I don't want to buy some. Like, I don't know what I'd do with them. What would I do with them? I don't know. Could you do anything with them? Can you build with them? What? And I don't really even know what to do with them. Then what I've just produced, even though I cut it off my own property with my own equipment, did everything, built the equipment, I've created something that I think is pretty cool. But when I show it to the public, they're like, I go to Parker and I could say, hey, man, I need some wood. This is what I need. And when he says, okay, it's ready, come get it, say, I'm going to trade you some of my latest currency that I've been creating. And when I get there with a pallet full of hay blocks, he'd be like, what do you do with those? Well, see, you get the point. So it's not a very good currency. Your currency has to be something that somebody wants. Milk is good because there's a growing number of people that want it. There's actually quite a few people that want it. So it becomes a really good currency. Let's talk about another currency that I have is eggs, right? We produce a lot of eggs, couple, 3 dozen, 4 dozen a day, I think. Everybody likes eggs. I love eggs. From my head down to my legs, I like eggs. And when I put those eggs in the store, generally they disappear pretty quickly. Generally they do. But I noticed there's 5 dozen in there this morning when I was down there. I thought, what's going on here? The problem with that currency is that a lot of people produce that currency. So when everybody's chickens are laying eggs, then the price of that currency fluctuates, right? To the point where people leave them on the shelf because, well, I got my own. And a lot of the people that we do business with, they're homesteady type people. So a lot of people have chickens that are laying eggs. So it's a different type of currency. Sometimes it's pretty hot. Sometimes it's not, right? And your currency changes throughout the season. It changes. So we also raise a lot of pigs and we butcher them, and the meat goes into the store. Now, during the summer months, pork is not really that hot of a deal. I mean, the pork chops are because people grill them, but it seems as though pork sells better in the wintertime because people seem to have more time to have bacon and eggs in the morning than they do in the summertime. So that stuff goes really well in the wintertime, but in the summertime, not so much, not quite as much. Beef does. Beef goes good anytime. Beef is like a currency. It is the gold standard of currencies right now. Calves are unbelievable what they want for calves, what people are selling calves for. It's just unbelievable. Even the price of milk cows has really gone up too. Somebody sent me a really nice cow. Hey, a friend of mine's got this really nice cow for sale. I said, well, you know what they want for it? And they shot me the price, $4,800 for a cow. I think that's what it was. I know it was somewhere around there, and it's like, no. So, and she's probably worth it. I could see if she was my cow, I'd probably want to get that much for her, but I wouldn't do that. I'm not hurting for milk cows. Okay, so you have a process that you're doing on your homestead, and it's generating currency. So you could take your currency, whatever you're producing, and then you could trade it for dollars. And then you can trade those dollars for someone else's currency. So I do this with Parker a lot. Like sometimes he doesn't need anything that I have, but he needs money because sometimes you need money to pay electric bill. They won't take hay blocks. They won't take pork sausage or a dozen of eggs. They don't have the means to do that. So you're producing a currency. Let's see, what was I going to say? You're producing a currency, and you've got to take into account who your customer is. Okay? Who's your customer? It's always nice if you're producing a currency like what we produce, let's say milk, and I produce 20 gallons of milk a day, and we get 18 of it sold, and I got 2 extra gallons, homeschool kid, right? 2 extra gallons, and nobody wants to buy those. Oh, well, maybe they'll want to buy them tomorrow. Well, probably not, because it's just getting older and older. Well, I know who could use that. Put it in the fridge up at the house. And then I don't really have to encourage my children to drink more milk. They drink a lot of milk. Milk's good. I drink a lot of milk all the time. So I have that customer base as well. We use it. So if you're producing a currency, it's really nice if you use it. That's a good thing. Or with milk, let's say we have 6 extra gallons of milk, which happens from time to time. Not in a while, but I got a cow that's going to freshen on the 14th. So we're going to be, and it's one of my big ones. So we're going to really be in it. Flies. So that currency, let's say I have 10 extra gallons of milk. Oh, I'll put it in buckets and I'll put it in the cooler. Yeah. Does the price of that go up tomorrow or down tomorrow? It goes down because it's getting older. Okay, well, I got to do something with that. Okay, well, what could I possibly take that currency of milk and turn it into something else? Could I? Well, yeah, because you can take milk and you can turn it into cheese. You can turn it into butter. Ooh, that's a currency right there. A pound of butter is like $28 of good grass-fed Jersey butter, $28. And people will pay it. They will give you money, that kind of money for it. We do not have that kind of overage at this point. So that's not happening, but it has on occasion. But cheese goes pretty good. Jill makes feta. She makes chèvre. She makes cheese curds that are really good. She makes yogurt, right? People really get into raw milk yogurt. And all these things become a currency. They go in the store and people come, take them, and leave dollars. Do I have any customers that I trade with in the store? I don't. Well, yeah. John Spears Automotive, Cadillac, Michigan. We run kind of a ledger. And so he gets his milk every week, and he's going to get a pig this year and 65 chickens. We're getting ready for him. And it just goes on the ledger. And then when I need auto repairs, I just take them to him. And we haven't written a check back and forth in, I think it's been over a year. So, and I'm not really sure where the ledger is. Jill keeps it. I bring receipts home from him, give them to her, and she enters them. And we're not looking to get this settled up anytime soon because his currency is the automotive business. And that's something that I need. Or maybe I should say I want. I could fix my own cars if I wanted to. I just don't really want to. I want to stay focused on what I'm doing here. And if there's a guy that's an expert out there that can do it quicker and more efficiently than me, yep, you got it. You got it. Change the oil while you're at it too. John Spears Automotive. So, yeah, currency is something that you should consider. Are you going to produce something that people want? Yes. No. If it's no, then why would you produce it? You can produce it and then you can complain. Nobody wants this. What's wrong with these people? These people have a screw loose. They don't want my currency, right? Yeah, that happens. Been there. I've produced lots of things that people don't want. I would think they'd want them, but they really don't. And so when you're setting up your farming operation, it's something to consider. Like, well, I'm in this part of the country. This is a lot of people of this ethnic descent live here. And I've heard that they really like this stuff. So that might be a good thing to produce. Then you prove the concept, produce a little bit of it and take it to them, see if they want it. And if they want it, then say, I can produce more of this. Okay. Yeah. So that occurred to me. So what else is currency? What else could be currency? All right. So you guys know I got a guy that we hired coming up on a year, I guess. And we only hired him part-time. He was a guy that was coming to get milk. And I just got to talking to him. He seemed like a nice fellow. And I said, well, you need any part-time work? And I just needed him to open bread. And he was very faithful to come and open bread. And it was wintertime and tough and everything. And he just toughed it through. And then, hey, you want to help us out in the butcher shop? Sure. Then we find out that he's a trained chef. And, now he's milking 2 days a week with us. And it's really nice to have a guy. Now, he was driving from quite a ways away. And I said to him, you can stay over at the campground if you want. Just set up a tent. Something I would do, to save some money. And he was paying a lot in rent. And he was like, yeah, I'd do that. And so he's over there. And, winter's coming. Bragging rights are great, but staying in the tent in the wintertime is just not good. And where he's an employee, I don't want him staying in a tent in the wintertime. I don't mind him getting a little toughened up, but I don't want him going through that. And so we thought, if we allowed him to stay in the apartment through the winter, well, the apartment's worth X amount per month. And hey, it'll be this many hours a month. You're working part-time for us anyway. We just won't be writing you checks. Your place that you'll be living in will be. And then there's not that whole taxation thing and the third party that is standing there with their hands out. Hey, if this guy's working, you gotta give us some too. If you pay him, you gotta pay us too, which is really a kick. And the other thing too, he eats out of our store because he's really concerned with his health. Actually, he came to us in the midst of a health crisis, I would say. And he had tried everything. And when he came to us, he was just coming off being a vegan and almost killed him. So now he's eating a lot of fat, a lot of beef, a lot of pork, chicken, drinking milk a lot, and it's doing him good. So that becomes a currency. A currency is anything that people want. So get to thinking about this. If you take a $1 bill and a $20 bill, now one of them has more value than the other, but when they printed them, did it cost more to print the 20 than it did the 1? Did it even cost $1 to print the $1 bill? It probably cost a few cents to print that $1 bill, but yet it's US currency. And anybody takes it. Anybody takes a $1 bill. Any place you go, if you got to pay in all ones, they'll take it, right? Nobody balks at that. But the fact that it only cost a few cents to produce it and it's worth $1, and then the 20, it took a few cents to produce that, but it's worth $20. The value of that really is that people have faith in it. People will take it. I get it. It's a lot less cumbersome than carrying around, stuff that you want to trade. Well, I got this 45 automatic. Maybe you'd like to have this. So I'm not anti-currency, U.S. currency. I'm not anti that. But I think it helps when I put it in perspective. It helps put it in perspective, I guess, when I think about it that way. And then it helps me when I say, okay, today we're going to butcher 2 pigs today. And then I do the calculation on it and say, okay, we should get about 400 pounds of ground pork that we're going to season and call it sausage. And let's see, 400. I should be able to do this. I probably can. 400 times, I guess Joel asked, 850 for a pound of sausage. So that's $3,400. So when we do it, I'm thinking, okay, the potential earning value of this is $3,400. And it goes in the store and it leaves slowly, but that currency is still there, right? So I think we have a tendency to only look at the number of the dollars that are in our bank account to determine how we're doing. And for a lot of years, I was not really concerned about how I was doing. I was just doing. And hopefully someday I find out that we're actually doing really good, but we actually weren't doing really good. But I just wasn't tracking it. Now I track it a lot closer. And even then I'm not right in it, but I have a better idea of what works and what doesn't work. Okay, what products that we produce that are a better currency than other products? Like, I'm not about to bear down on egg layers right now or ever, because of the situation where you got people come in and they'll put in 100 chickens and then they have their eggs out by the road, $1.50, because they got to get rid of them. They got too many of them. They go from being an asset to a liability, so the value goes down because in their situation they have too many. And it's not. That was a cat. That sounds like a cat that's stuck in here. We got plenty of cats though. Like, I could produce cats maybe, or cat pelts. How would that be? Or cat meat. That would be a good thing. That would be really a good thing. If I said to you all, well, we have cat meat. Oh yeah, it's really good. Try some. You could produce cats all day long. We could produce cats and we could skin the cats and make gloves out of the skin. They'd be nice and warm on the inside, And then the meat, we could grind it into our pork sausage. And it would have a special tangy flavor, I'm sure, that people would probably enjoy. There's all kinds of things you can think of. Well, that's it. That's it. That was my thinking, just from thinking about Henry Ford and how he did it. Instead of like taking his money and buying wood, he bought a big piece of property and built a sawmill and built a town around it. That sounds a lot better than just buying wood. Because his sawmill town actually produced wood for other people too, other industry that needed wood. So he knew that he could supply his own needs, plus the place could pay for itself just by sawing wood. That was the thing. That was the part of it that's a good thing to think about. Like, you're producing milk. We got all the milk we need. Plus, it's a cash flow coming through, which is a really good thing. I can't tell you how good milk is in the farm. All right, so that's it. If you guys got any input on that, I'd be glad to expound on it a little bit. Firewood. Ooh, that is a really good product. I have a guy right now. He lives in the next town over. I found him on Marketplace, and he brought me a load of wood, and it was like really good wood. And he, buys logs, and then he cuts them with a chainsaw and runs them through a splitter. He just likes doing it. He has a full-time job working for the county. And I get really nice loads of wood from him. If I called him tonight and I said, I'm ready for another load. It would be here tomorrow morning. He is very reliable, very reliable. I mean, he prioritizes, and that's actually a currency too. All right, so let's say I was thinking about this. Let's say that you provide a service. We talked a little bit about this a couple weeks ago. Let's say you provide a service. Let's say you do HVAC, for instance, and you do really good work, right? But you're unreliable, or you don't prioritize the customer. Like I call you and you say, yeah, I'll get a guy over there this afternoon, and then you don't because something else came up. Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'm not priority. If you have customers and they know when they call you, you're going to be number one on the list. That is currency right there. And that's the person you're going to go to when you need something fixed and you say, hey man, I need this truck or whatever fixed. And they say, yeah, okay, I'll be right on it. And then 2 weeks later, did you get the parts yet? No. That's not a good currency. It's a fiat currency because the guy said, I can do this. And so you said, okay, do it. I got the money right here to pay you, right in my pocket. And he says, I'll do it. But then you don't. So not only have you lost a couple of weeks time on the repair, let's say it's on something that you want to go on vacation with, there's heartache involved. And like, damn, I knew I shouldn't have relied on that guy. I knew I shouldn't have. So that type of thing. That's actually anti-currency. That we should call that fiat currency. All right, enough of that. But reliability is a currency. I see Matt Kovac in here. When Matt Kovac says, I will be there at 9:00 in the morning, he's here at 10 minutes of. When he says, I will give you, this amount of labor for dollars, he gives me 10% more or 20% more a lot of times. Engineering know-how and everything else. Matt says, did you hear that Willis did his job? We don't know if it was Willis. Yeah, he did. He did. It's hard to know because we were using the AI guy. And when Willis came, I thought, I'm not even going to bother with having the AI guy come back to preg check him. I didn't even feel like it because I was so turned off by the whole, there again, the reliability thing and all that stuff. It was such a turnoff. And so we said, we're getting a bull. And when I said we needed a bull, and I talked about how we're going to manage the bull and all that stuff, Matt says, I got a bull. His name's Willis, and he's a nice boy. And I was a little like, but if Matt says he's a nice boy, he's a nice boy. Willis came, stayed with the girls for 60 days, I think, and we got the readout back, and all of them are prego except for one, Ruby, and she's been open for kind of a long time. But all right, changing subjects here. And this one hit me right in the face the other day. Let's see, what was it that made that happen? Oh, it was I'm on this group, this Facebook group, and it's Raw Milk Producers of America. And I don't think I've ever posted anything in there. People sell cows and they talk about things. They ask questions and stuff. It's a little bit like the tribe, but it's focused on raw milk. And somebody asked, how long can you milk a cow before you need to freshen her again? And when I read that, I thought, you freshen them every year, of course. But some of the thread that I read and some of the input, people were saying, I've got a friend that has a cow that's been milking 2.5 gallons a day for 10 years and never had another calf. And she's been with the bull the whole time. 10 years. And then somebody said 20 years. And I thought, could that be? But then you think about lactation in human beings, they're usually hippies that are breastfeeding their kids till they're 5. Yeah, a little weird. Some ways. And you think, oh, well, I guess it's doable. And so I started thinking about that. Like Ruby, we love her. She's a member of the girl club down there. And just because she won't breed back, she's no good. Got to thinking about that. You got to breed them back every year. And I also got to thinking about, yeah, and you got to dry them off 3 months prior to them having their calf. Like, I've seen women that are breastfeeding a 3-year-old and a newborn at the same time. She never dried off. So what's with that? Where did we get that? And I think, where did I hear that from? And I heard it from this guy. And where did this guy get all of his vast information that he knows everything about cows? It turns out he didn't really know all that much about cows, but he worked at a dairy, and that's how they do it. Now, I know you heard that. It sounds like a cat stuck under something. Anyway, we got a lot of cats. Got plenty of cats. We don't have a lot of cats. We got enough cats. I hate to think of some little animal suffering over here. Just give me a sec. Where are you? Huh. I don't see him. I don't see him. He's in here someplace, though. Oh, so I got to thinking about the dairy industry and just knowing how farmers are. You know, when I get to know farmers around here, like I told you, the guy that I said, well, how come you graze your cattle on the field after you cut the hay off? Because it's a hay field. What's that mean? What does that even mean? Well, we don't do it because we don't do it. Yeah, but maybe you should. No. Like a lot of what they're doing, they're just kind of lockstep. This is how it's done. And I'm kind of questioning some of that because maybe there's another way to do it. Like if we were, there is a cat in here someplace. A distressed cat too. All right. So I got to thinking, now maybe there is another way to do this. And all of a sudden I realized a lot of the procedures that we have, even in the raw milk business, which is completely different than the industrial ag model, come down from industrial ag. Like drying a cow off for 3 months before. I got this one cow, her name's Face. She's a great big thing, great big Jersey looking cow. I don't really know what she is. She's kind of a mutt. Um, and she's due 14th of the month. And like she is so full out there. And Brian didn't get the memo and he milked her. And so she's due in a few days and she's still giving like 4 gallons of milk, and her condition is outstanding. She's all filled out. You can't see a rib on her. And she never gets anything but just a scoop of grain and fresh grass every day. That's what she gets. And in the wintertime, she gets hay, So maybe the way we approach this is there's other ways to do it. Like I even have this book, Keeping a Family Milk Cow, and there's many references in it to state and local regulations, so they're kind of telling you, hey, this can be illegal in certain places. So makes you wonder, and maybe there's hope for Ruby yet. Like she's one of our cows. Okay, she can't give us a calf right now. She didn't take, and it's been probably a good 5 tries. But that doesn't mean we can't continue to milk her. She's still going to lactate. She's not like going to dry off after, 3 months prior to her giving a calf. And especially if she's not going to give a calf, if she's not pregnant, then we'll just continue to milk her. She gives us, I don't know, 2.5 gallons of milk a day, something like that. But I had this in my mind that, if Ruby can't get pregnant, we're just going to have to make hamburger. I do not want to be the one that shoots that nice little cow between the eyes. I do not want to be that guy. I don't want that in my memory banks, and I'm certainly not going to ask my children to do it. So the way it stands right now, hey, Ruby, don't get pregnant. We'll just keep milking you. It's okay. You don't have to give me a calf. She's given me many calves already. That's good enough. All right, so let me read what we got here. Keith's with us. Shadowing the Desert Stray. Matt, what are you doing in the UP? Keith is saying, I have chickens now, but I'm looking into ducks. All right. Brian says, 8 forms of capital: natural, financial, material, intellectual, experiential, social, cultural, spiritual. Oh, spiritual, cultural. 8 forms of capital. Wow, you just had that. You just had that on the edge of your tongue, huh? Natural capital. Yeah, I can see that. Use what you got, right? You got it, flaunt it. Financial, money. Material, stuff. Fly. There's one fly in here. One fly in here. Don't you hate flies? Intellectual. Experiential. Social. I wonder what's social. I wonder what would be a good definition of social capital. Oh, probably like you want to be friends with me because I'll invite you to parties. Okay, social. Cultural. And spiritual. So, yeah, I got a guy that's coming to he's a retired pastor. And so he retired from being a pastor, which almost seems a little strange. But a church hired him because he could go in and give spiritual pastoring. Sarah Hold the Line Homestead retracted a message. Should we guess what you wrote? Shadowing the Desert Stray. Like Henry Ford, the coal mines in the Appalachia even had their own currency to pay for miners to buy food at the store they own. A terrible value for miners, though. Hey, those miners had it good. Yeah. Matt is hauling Henry Ford's Lunbar. His Lunbar, huh? All right. Cool. All right. Well, it was a short message tonight, and I don't feel like pontificating much. There is something kind of on the horizon. I'm going to bring this to your attention next week, but I'll just give you a little teaser about this. There is a guy that I know, haven't met him personally. I started talking with him last winter, I would say shortly after Christmas, because he was getting hassled about his business, his farm. He lives in Virginia, and his name is Bryson Lipscomb. He is a veteran, and he was finally served about a month ago by the Virginia Department of Health, which is like their Department of Agriculture. The woman who headed this up, oh, you're going to love her, because I'm going to have a really nice picture of her. Her name is Karen, and she looks Karenish. And anyway, they're going to haul him into court, and he's got to go in, I think, on the 22nd of this month. And so we've been talking, and he's courageous. And the other night, I called up our old buddy Joel Salatin, and I said, hey, I hate to bother you, but this is in your backyard. And if these guys can get him, they can get you. So this is something that we need to put our heads together on and figure out how to navigate this. And I think we're beyond the point of just trying to make it go away so he can press on with his life. I think we're at the place now where we have certain officials in these departments, Department of Agriculture, that are doing the bidding somebody else. Like, they're saying that, well, for the safety of the public, we don't want anybody milking cows, and we're going to spend thousands of dollars to put together a case against this American GI, honorably discharged, Afghanistan, the mountains of Afghanistan type. He's an airborne guy, Army. And they're going to go after him. If you could get that woman in front of you, you'd say, why are you doing this? Like, why are you spending taxpayer money to beat up on this guy who's just trying to feed his family here? It's not like he's trying to get over and knock off armored cars, which he's pretty well trained to do things like that. And he could probably do it very easily, but he chooses to milk cows and raise a few pigs. He actually sells his wiener pigs to Joel Salatin's farm, Polyface. So it's pretty tight. And so Joel called me back, and we talked about it a little bit, and he agreed to bring some attention to it. And so he did. I don't see a cat over there. All right, I'm going to be done here in a minute. I'll find you. He's probably in a drawer. The desk is there. He's in a drawer. I know where he is. Okay. He's sleeping in there, and somebody must have. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to make a video tomorrow probably about this whole situation and bring it to light. And when I do that, I don't want you to get scared. When you read Joel's article, Lunatic Farmer, he says, imagine yourself with this bearing down on you. I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to imagine that. I want you to imagine Karen's head on a stake, right? Because what she's doing is she is degrading Bryson's constitutional right to milk a cow. If there ain't a law against it, then shut up. She's degrading his constitutional right under the color of law. She's quoted a bunch of things here and there. Bottom line, all of your things do not supersede the Fifth Amendment. They do not. So you need to shut up. But if you're going to go that route, we're going to countersue you for degradation of constitutional rights under. So we're going to talk more about this week. I'll put videos out on the Baker's Green Acres page, and I'll share them over into the tribe. And a lot of you are friends with the Mark Baker page, so they'll be there too. And I'm going to ask you to do things. And you need to be thinking about this like, do I want my children to have to go through this baloney? Are we still going to have people like Karen around doing this when my children want to farm? Or are we going to put an end to this now? We need to put an end to it now. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to give you a phone number of her office. And I want that phone ringing off the hook. And what you'll be doing is just calling there and saying, can you explain this to me? I'm getting one side of the story from Joel Salatin or Mark Baker. Could I hear your side of the story? And they are duty bound to inform you as the public of why they are doing what they're doing. And you can engage in the conversation. You say, well, I don't think that's right. Or you could say, yeah, go get them. But I want that phone ringing off the hook. Another thing you can do is his hearing. All right. So what they did is they went to the court and they sued him in a civil court, right? Civil court is for what? Contracts. Bryson doesn't have a contract with them. So it's just an attempt to bring the conversation into like they're a corporation and they're going to try and talk to him as though he's a corporation. He's not. He's a private guy. And he's just going to keep telling the judge, I don't have a contract with these people. I don't have a contract with them. But it doesn't matter. What they did to him is egregious. Our constitutional rights are so precious that when one of these weirdos takes a swipe at it, they need to be slapped back and slapped back hard, real hard, with the same ferocity that they use against us and the same indifference to our lives. Like, this guy is trying to feed his children, right? He's an American GI, did his duty in Afghanistan in defense of this document, and you're going to do this to him? Like, what's wrong with this woman, right? And I found out today, did some digging. Her position on the health department there pays $255,000 per year. But yet she's got to go after this guy like this with no remorse, no sympathy. Like, I think she's probably a psychopath, because I don't even think the people around her want her doing this. But I want you guys to unlock your minds and use that phone number, use her email address, and communicate with her what you think about this. If you're in favor of it, do that. If you're not in favor of it, do it. If it were you that were under the gun like this, you would welcome the support from your fellow American. Like, we are all in this together in the farming community. If they can take him down, they can take you down. If they can take me down, they can take you all down, right? So you have to push back and push back in unconventional ways. Unconventional ways. Now, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have all that. We need to use it. It's a force multiplier. If this broad sees her face everywhere, she'll think, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe it puts my family in jeopardy, just like I'm putting his family in jeopardy, right? This should make a person angry. It really should. It makes me extremely angry. Here, I'm given this gift of farming from the God of the universe gave this to me. God of the universe gave this to me. This is his creation, not mine. I'm stewarding it. And here this bureaucrat appointed by the governor down there comes in and decides to do this and stand in the way, almost like you see this so many different. You see this in the Catholic Church. I grew up Catholic. Yeah, I need to confess my sins. Yeah, but I got to tell it to that guy, and then he'll tell God. That doesn't sound right to me. It's sort of like, having somebody protect my store, Guido on the corner that's protecting my store. Yeah, for $5 a day, I'll protect your store so the windows don't get blown out. No, I'm not paying for that. What do you know? The windows get blown out. Okay, I guess I'll pay for you to watch my store, right? The middleman, always the middleman. And it's always that parasite class. Baby doll, why should anybody in that government be paid $250K a year? That's insanity, right? But they vote they're just a bunch of brood of vipers is what they are. Anyway, we're going to talk about that more next week. I'm going to see if Bryson even wants to come on and do a little interview. But if he does, I don't want it to just be for entertainment purposes. I need you people to engage on this. I need you to do that. For him? No, for me and my children, right? I got a story for you. This is a pretty cool story. And I'll explain it to you what went on. So remember a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, some people down in Florida, 20 of them, had to go to the hospital, and they think the culprit is raw milk. Made national news. 20 people in Cadillac could get sick eating at Popeyes, and you'd never hear anything about it unless you lived in Cadillac. Florida, raw milk, national news. You kind of wonder, like, how? How does that happen? But you should know by now. It's the board is tipped. It's definitely tipped. And the media is not your friend. They are all about communism. I think I know where that cat is, and maybe I'll just go let him go, or I have to listen to this. Huh. Nope, not in there. Very odd. Maybe it's just hear it. So anyway, when that happened, the newspaper here in Cadillac called here and said they wanted to do an article on raw milk. And I was like, yeah. And I'm thinking, well, if they pass by me, they're going to go to somebody else. And the way the media is, they're on board, with whatever comes down from the next level up. And so I said, yeah, okay. And I thought it was a woman, actually. And I'm expecting some blue hair wheeling in here, but it was actually a dude. And so the dude pulls in here, and he is lighting the loafers for sure, and driving the Subaru and everything. And I was like, well, we can do this, just suck it up and give him the interview. So he goes around, takes pictures and stuff. He actually got kind of happy, because of the whole aura of the place, and I thought it was good. And he said, oh, okay, took pictures of me, took pictures of the boys milking and stuff. And so then, a couple weeks go by, and I don't see this article come out anyplace in Cadillac. And I call him up, and I said, what's the story? It came out in a weird, like the pictures came out online, but no narrative. Right. And all the stories were raw milk bad, raw milk bad, raw milk bad. And when I interviewed, I said, no, raw milk's good and it's legal. And if they don't like it, here's my address. Why don't you come and do something about it if you think you can? And the article never came out. So I called him again, and he said, yeah, well, my boss was on vacation, and da 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 da. And I said, okay, well, I'll take you at your word. He says it is going to come out. And it never did. But what that's about is they like to do an article and be able to slant it and make it seem like, oh, this isn't safe. This guy is just unruly. He don't listen to anybody. He's just doing this. And you could die from drinking raw milk. But I think they realized that we better not do that to him. We better not do that because he's too close. And so they thought it was better to just nix it, So I am going to call him and say, you lied to me, little fella. You lied. And you know what? That's why we don't trust you. That's why we don't trust the media anymore, because that's how you are. So that's too bad. That's kind of too bad, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. All right. I'm going to get going. I appreciate everybody coming by. Yeah, I'll be coming to you. Be looking for that video about Bryce. I'm going to have the pictures and things like that and really explain it in detail. All right. Anyone can farm. Good night.